Get things going right here. Hey, everybody. Welcome. This is Gil at Camp Patton Family Compound. I have with me tonight Tammy from Rebel Canners and Mark from Chef Tech. And this is the Monday Night Fireside Chat. And tonight's topic is going to be, why did my canned food go bad? And first off, I want to say it's not just home canned food that's going to be going bad. So let's see who else here first and hop up over here. We say hi to everybody. All right, so we got, Mark came in first really early, then Walt Rogers, followed by Troop 1351. And Troop 1351 has been a member for 25 months and shouting out the Staff Sergeant rules. The Staff Sergeant is my wife, who is also the Troop 1351's committee chair. It keeps all the paperwork in order for the scouts. Next one in was Shady Hill Homestead, then Suzanne Gallet, followed by Kaylin Strain, then It's the Marshmallow Man. Hey, Louis. And then we got Aiden here, King Poopa from White Family Farm. Trying to see if I'm missing anybody here as I go down, because everybody's talking back and forth there. Kaylin's been a member for 27 months. And we got Krubby the Beagle coming in on your side there, Tammy. And Geeky Gardens is here. Hey, Jack. Mother Garden Club is here. Diana 2 is here on both sides. Becca T's in on your side. Does anybody know what today is? Yeah, today is the 6th. It's Monday. It's
That's not what she's trying to rat me out about. That's my daughter.
Yeah, I know. I figured she was trying to do something, being sneaky.
Birthday? Yeah.
Guilty.
Hey, come on.
She's 29. She's 29 and holding.
That's why I like you, Gil.
29 and holding. Hey, I got a sister.
I never throw ages around. I just look at people and go, damn kids.
Yeah. Angel's Homestead is in here now, too. And Krubby came in on my side, so Krubby's doing both sides. Woo! All right. And Tammy Harder just came in. Now we got both Tammys in here. All righty.
She's my other favorite Tammy.
All righty. Well, speaking of other favorites, got Christy Betts, who comes in. Usually, she's met her over on the Broussard, Southern Blessed Homestead, and those over there.
Yes.
When she was little, that's what her grandmothers used to call her, was Christy, my wife.
Oh.
It was Christy and Christy. So.
There you go.
All righty, and Mad Chick had to go over and type in on your side too.
I'm trolling your side.
Brownie points. They're working.
And I leave the volume on one button, so it counts.
Yeah. Well, do I do something on my other laptops here? I plug an earbud into it and turn it down.
Yeah, I can't do that on my laptop, but I got StreamYard and YouTube running at the same time. I have to shut the other one off, or you get all kinds of background echoes.
Yeah.
All right, I'll be right back. I gotta take this. Give me a second.
All right. So tonight we're going to be talking about, why is your stored food going bad, your canned food? Well, we're not talking just. Hang on, let me get over here so I can do it right. We're not just talking jarred canned food going bad. We're also talking about commercially canned food going bad as well. And, Courtney's here, White Family Farm. Oh, there we go. Woo! Hey, Courtney. Hey, Courtney, if you want to come up here, I'll drop the link. Just let me know.
Hey, Courtney, I saw you were on earlier today. I didn't get a chance to pop on and harass you. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't see it until after it was over because I had grandsons over here. Well, one grandson who wasn't in school and the other one before they went to school later on. So, all right. So you need to always inspect your canned food to decide whether it's gone bad or not. And we'll talk all about how the different ways you can tell that here in a minute, but I just want to show you some stuff. So probably the number one threat, hazard, whatever you want to call it, to canned food, whether it's commercially or home canned food, is heat after it's canned, sitting on the shelves. The second one is freezing. Your jars will break, your cans can rupture because of as liquid freezes, it expands. And let's see, and if things especially for jars, being in direct sunlight will deteriorate not only canned food, it'll deteriorate the grain. If you have your rice and your noodles and your spaghetti and stuff in clear glass containers like somebody like to do, and they put it on the shelf so all looks nice and pretty, and the sun comes through the kitchen window and hits that shelf on the other side of the room, that sunlight is deteriorating that food.
Only thing that stays out of my counter that's exposed is salt and pepper, but they're in stainless containers. So,
yeah. And Tammy wanted me to put this up here. So on the left here, you got one with no headspace, which can cause problems. And you guys probably can't see it, but the bottom one here in the middle, towards the middle, it looks like there's goop leaking out around it a little bit. And then, of course, if you have too much headspace, you got too much air in there. And Mark, what is the air going to do?
I'm sorry, what is what?
If you have too much headspace with a lot of air in here, what's the air going to do?
It's going to deteriorate your food. It'll turn dark. I have that problem. I have soups and stews that, like pea soup, and once it's over 2 years old, even though it's staged downstairs where it's dark, I only have one light. After about 2 years, if you look in there, the top of it actually starts to turn black. But it's not bad. It's just you can call it oxidation because technically there's still some oxygen in there, but it's sterilized oxygen. But it was steam at one point, so yeah, there's that. But yeah, it just gives it more space to grow if there's bad food in there. But it's a vacuum basically. But there's still some amount of gases in there.
It gives it an opportunity. More headspace, more oxygen means more possibility of bacteria that somehow survive the canning process. And like offline beforehand, when we were talking, Tammy said, canning does not kill 100% of the bacteria. It kills the preponderance of bacteria. And here she is back. So, so you have too much headspace. You got more of a breeding ground for any bacteria that survived in the food.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can speed it up, becoming non-usable. I had this problem yesterday when I first started canning. Bought some no-name lids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Once there's rust on there, you can't tell if the rust has gone through that lid.
Yeah.
And once the seal is broken by rust or other means, the food in there is no good.
Yeah. And the thing is though, and I've seen pictures where people have showed pictures of it, the top of the lid. Oh, it looks good. They open it up and the inside's all rusted.
Yeah.
If it's rusty, I'll get staining in the white part of my lid sometimes, but that's normal. I mean, it's staining. Now, if it's too old and starts to eat away at that coating, whatever the white coating is, if it starts to eat away at that, then you got a problem, especially high acid foods like tomatoes. Tomatoes, you don't want to keep around more than maybe 2 years, depending on what type of lids you got.
Speaking of lids, I did see on Amazon, somebody was selling stainless steel canning lids. And I saw this a couple years ago, and I saved it, and then it disappeared out of my save folder because they weren't carrying it anymore.
But it's the rubber unless they're stainless steel canning lids like a Tatler with a reusable gasket, that's different. But a stainless steel standard lid with the rubber that's injected onto it and permanent, yeah, you use them once. I wouldn't waste my money on it.
Yeah, they were a bit more expensive. It'd be like, okay, we're gonna pressure can the first time. Second time, we're gonna water bath jam.
Yeah, crank the lids on that.
Yeah.
The other thing is when you take your jars out of the canner, if you had a little bit of siphoning somewhere, which I get it, probably 40% of the time something will siphon, and you bring them out, you let them cool down for their day and keep an eye on them, and then you take the rings off and you wash them. If you don't wash, I use like just a bristle brush after I soak them in like warm soapy water. I'll make sure I wash underneath that little edge of that ring, the rim of the lid, because you'll get bacteria growth in there and or moisture collection, and that'll rot through your lid from the side, and you won't know it until you open it up.
Yeah. And put it up to Happy Max in here wishing Tammy a happy birthday.
And Tammy said, I'm out of here. No, I'm just kidding. That's it. Everybody knows it's my birthday. I got to go now.
Those that wish to really give her a happy birthday, if you have an Amazon account, you just go to the gift cards. You send her an Amazon gift card for 2, 3, whatever, and just choose the happy birthday one.
And make sure you put in the notes, happy birthday. This is towards a laptop.
Yeah. On my other channel, Gray Man Prepping, I did a review of the new stainless steel water, not bottles, they're flasks, because it's no glass. It's, anyways. So I put that up there yesterday, I believe.
I think I saw that. Yeah, I did. I said, hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Yeah, that was me.
Yep. Yes, you did. First one in there. So, yeah, the background I got behind, not behind me, but behind all of us there, you see all the jars on the shelf. I like that room where it's at, in that it is there's only the light in there, which only comes on when your person's in there. And I like all the stuff they were canning. Everything I looked at it when I blew it up on the screen here and did my inspection on it. It looked like they had, you can't see it, but right about here, where my hand is behind me, is hanging a pink ribbon. So they took second place. And cool. But yeah, every jar in there, I was looking at it. Every jar has like 1 inch to 3/4 of an inch headspace. It's just immaculate. Somebody had too much time on their hands.
Somebody just enjoys doing it the way it needs to be done, or it was a 4-H club and you wouldn't get your points if you didn't do it. Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it's looking at that one, I would say that person never has food going bad.
Well, they probably rotate through and eat it. They probably rotate through and eat it, unlike some of the stuff I got downstairs, which I found a few jars of things from 2017. I'm like, yeah, they're still good, I'm sure, but the quality is crap.
How was that peanut butter?
Peanut butter's from 2017 too, and I'm not getting rid of that anytime soon, and I'm still alive. So shut up.
See, I rotate through. I try to have a 2-year supply, and I try to rotate through that 2-year supply. But there's some things in my pantry I need to throw away that I'll never eat. Potatoes.
That's what I've been doing. I've been going downstairs, grab a few things and grab a few other things and just get my jars back.
All right. Lewis, King Pooh answered it here for you. 40 minutes. I like having good side chat going. They answered each other's question in the side chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any. I'm not at home and I don't have any books here. And I don't like to do it just from memory.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Ew.
Yeah, how old were those cans? Or if they were older cans you bought at Aldi a few years back, that's a problem. The other problem is Aldi sometimes, all food distribution companies sometimes have trucks break down in the summertime, running across the desert, and their refrigerator shuts off, even though it's not. Some of the stuff is not refrigerated. That stuff will get hot and then break or not leak. And then the fresh food and the frozen stuff goes right in the trash. But anything that's still in jars and cans, if it looks okay, they throw it on the shelf, which means it wasn't stored very well.
All right. So I'm going to do something here. I'm going to use my email here real quick to Wide Family Farm. And all right. I don't feel like dropping it in here. So Courtney, Dustin, I sent you guys the link. Yeah, if you want to come up, you don't have to, but it's just you guys want to.
Courtney right now, so
yeah, it's there's and the thing is, how often do you guys have stuff go bad in your canning?
Rarely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rare.
same.
I did lose
stuff. Go ahead, Tammy.
I did lose something, but it was my storage conditions with moving. I know exactly what it was. It was because I stored it in the bad. I wish we were closer, Kaylin. I would give you all of them. I am so sick of those potatoes. Jars and all. You can keep the jars.
I had 24 of the same food item go bad all at once. Can you guess why? I shipped it. I gave it to my sister to bring to my niece who lives in Denver. And the altitude changed totally. It popped, all the lids popped. Now, when they got them, they're just like, why are these popped? Because she was checking them on the way there. She's like, they're fine, they're fine. And in the last 6 hours going up the mountain and all that, they got there and they're unloaded. They're like, why are they not lids? She called me up. I was like, put them all in the fridge. They're pickles. It was all cowboy candy.
Oh,
I'm like, it'll be fine for a while. So yeah, do that. And they did. They're like, it's still good. I'm like, you can trust it. It was sealed all the way there and I explained the altitude problem.
Yeah.
So that's why at higher altitudes, you can at a higher pressure, the vacuum inside the jar is greater when you do that because, air expands and contracts. And at a higher pressure temperature, when it contracts to seal your lid, I actually collapsed a couple lids once because I ran the pressure a little too high and I'm only at 900 feet. And a couple days later, I'm like, why is this lid buckled? It was still sealed. I'm like, oh, yeah, it creased. I'm like, yeah, that's because I was running at, I think, 13 or 14 PSI. Yeah, that jiggler was jiggling like a madman.
All right. Howie just came in on your side there, Tammy. All right. In all the canning my grandmother and mom did and everything, I don't recall. This was, high acid food stuff. Any of it ever going bad. Of course, the blackberry jam, we barely had enough to make it to the next year. So it wasn't around more than one season.
Yeah.
The thing that we had for a long time that we forgot about, I've talked about this before, was the quart and half-gallon jars of pears in a heavy syrup. 72. Because it was after the Sylmar earthquake is when she canned them, and that was 71. So she canned them 72, and they went with us to Arizona. Got put in those. We were in a small rental house that was smaller than what we had needed for all the stuff. So it just stayed back and stored there. We never saw it. Then we moved back to California 2 years later. Took 2 years to get their huge monster mobile home set up. And then we built the storage room in back, and then they got moved out of the one storage out there. And finally, oh, look what I found. Oh, well, wait a minute. These are from 72, and wait a minute, it's 78. And we stuck them in a cupboard in the kitchen to use them. Well, half gallons, they got stuck it was a deep cupboard, one of those ones next to a stove or whatever, where the broom closet was, So it was all the way in the back. And it was several years later that when digging in, there's like, oh, pulled it out. Wow, this looks like they were canned last week. no discoloration, nothing.
Heavy syrup is the key to that, helping keep the color, and probably a little splash of lemon juice.
I'm not sure she used lemon juice. What was else?
Citric acid.
Something
Fruit
she
fresh.
put some. Yeah, she put something
Fruit
in there.
fresh was popular back there in the
Yeah.
70s.
And so what my brother and I didn't eat, his kids did, because by that time he had I think he had 3 kids, little ones running around. And of course, my sister her kids were all like 6 years older, so they were all over there too, just eating all the time. But so you're looking at almost 10 years, and this, not a one of them went bad.
I know my grandfather, my mother's father, my mother's family had grapevines, like good purple, whatever, sweet grapes. And she would just can grapes in the juice. And that was for dessert and stuff. Well, my grandfather was notorious for going down there like a week later, cracking a bunch of the lids open and sticking them way in the back so they would ferment.
Yeah.
And then he'd go back. My grandmother would find it and lose her mind. And then every now and then my mom would grab one to bring upstairs, and she'd be like, "Mom, I think these grapes are bad. The lid's not sealed anymore." And she would just glare at my grandfather, and he'd be like, "Oh, I'll take care of that." Take it, put it back down in the shop somewhere, and that would be gone in a day.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see. I just had a thought here, so let's see if I can bring this up here. It's not showing really good. Let me do it this way here. Save images. I'll save it there. Give it a second, and boom. It's even. I mean, there's rust embedded into the rubber.
Okay,
yeah.
So here's the problem, and I can tell you.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Go ahead.
All right. I know that people get upset about the whole taking the rings off. In fact, I was not a big take the rings off person either, but I learned something a couple years ago at the factory at Superb. All of the rings, no matter what brand makes them, are made of a different metal than your lid. And if you know anything about physics, what happens to metal that touches a different metal? There is a electrolysis thing that goes on, and it causes oxidification, which produces rust.
It's voltage.
Yes.
You can put a meter on your ring and your lid if you want to poke into your lid, and you'll get voltage out of it. If there's a little bit of acid in between, if you forgot to take them off into tomatoes, it's worse.
Yes, tomatoes would be worse. And so you should always take the ring once your 24 hours is up. You should always take the rings off, wash your jars, and store them without the rings. If at some point you decide to transport them again, you can put that ring back on to transport it and then take it right back off again. But you should not be storing them on your shelves with rings. You're just asking for trouble.
Yeah.
And
one of the interesting things about this, shoot, I just lost the word. The word chemical reaction begins with an A. But
electrolysis?
Not electrolysis, but it begins with an A. In wiring for a house.
Anoid?
An anode and cathode. Yeah.
Anode, yes. Yeah. Thank you. You froze.
Your breakers and stuff are designed to have always been designed to take copper wire.
Yes.
So the clamps and stuff are either copper or brass themselves, or an alloy with copper or brass in it. So when you put the copper wire in it, you don't get the
electrolytic reaction.
Yeah. When aluminum wiring came out, they had all sorts of problems with that, dissolving down and killing the breakers, killing the wire. And they came out with a special goop. Then a tube, you squirt it on there, rub it around, stick it in there. The goop would conduct electricity, but it would keep
dielectric grease.
Yeah, yes. And keep everything from contact. Yeah. And so even if you don't have acid there, it would do it. And we found some an old house that they had just installed the aluminum wiring in it, and then the power got turned off to it because people got foreclosed on and stuff. It sat for like 15 years, and they were going to tear it down. We talked to them, hey, can we go in and take salvage stuff out? And say, yeah, we're just coming in next week for the dozer. You can take everything out of it you want: doors, windows, wiring, whatever.
Wiring.
We popped open the breaker, so it only had power on it for about a week before it got turned off.
All corroded.
All of them had corroded and did its nasty stuff with no voltage. Just the natural thing between this element and that element.
Yeah, because metal conducts electricity at different rates. It has different numbers of electrons depending on, the periodic table. Back to basic, the metals on the periodic table all have different electrodes. They're trying to bind to each other. Yeah. And then you're in the presence of oxygen and hydrogen molecules wherever you go. That's called oxygen, air, what we breathe. And so that's always out there. Even in very dry houses that have wood stoves, you still have a certain amount of humidity. Otherwise, you couldn't live. So it still happens.
Okay, so I'm not sure, WX3, I'm just going to call you WX3. All right, was talking about some of his cans of chili rotted, and he gets down here, rusted to the point of opening. And yes, it could have been some reaction from the chilies in there, the acid in the chilies, metals, and everything else.
Yeah.
If there was a nick in that white part of your lid on the inside, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing I was trying to find when I pulled this up. I was trying to find a picture of someone where they had all the crap on top of the jar where they forgot to wipe it. It didn't seal, because I've seen it before where they take out the crap. I forgot to wipe it. That's why it didn't seal.
Well, before we went live, I told you the story. I've seen some weird things, and some weird things. But the lady that told me she water bathed her soup with meat in her soup, so she would fill the jars and then immerse them in her soup to do the water bathing inside of the soup with her canning jars of soup. And then I knew her personally outside of this group that I observed, and her kids were always having diarrhea and throwing up, and they always had the flu.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some crazy things people do. And so when people ask me, why did this not succeed? I have to go right back to the basics of how did you can it? What were the steps you did? Did you follow all of them? And number one, did you use the right method and the right time for the method you chose?
Yeah.
Don't use pressure can times for water bathing.
Here's a semi off topic secondary problem with leaving your rings on. Because most of us reuse our rings, not necessarily the lids, but the rings. So if your rings, and if you pull that other picture back up with the corrosion in there,
I already closed it.
When you go to reuse that ring with that corrosion on there, your quote unquote finger tight lid won't even be close anymore because of the friction generated between that corrosion and the glass. So it won't spin on nice and clean and sound nice and smooth like a new lid on a new ring on a jar. If there's any kind of corrosion in there, you will hear it and feel it. At that point, don't use it, because you're not going to get that finger tight initial tightness down. It'll be too loose.
And along with that, what's not showing here, and I can barely see, I got it blown up.
Yeah, under the edge there. Yeah.
If you take the lid out of the ring, you just find on the shoulder of the ring, there's probably rust there too. So as you're trying to tie it, you got little pieces of rust acting as ball bearings, rolling it around, so it's not sitting on it tight on it. Sort of like that thing you got from Temu there.
Oh my gosh, the fermentation lid that wouldn't thread on the jar. Yeah, it's not gonna once the corrosion is that bad, it's not gonna thread on your jar. Either, throw it away. You should have more than you need anyway.
And I know I've said in the past, the best thing you can do when you take your rings off and you wash them and then dry them real well, as long as there's no corrosion or anything on there, just put some mineral oil on a paper towel and just give everything a nice thin, just to put some on there. You don't have to soak it in it. That'll keep corrosion down just while you're storing your rings.
Yeah, so, and if you're storing them like in a damp basement, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, it's.
Speaking of damp, I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Old School Prepper? Someone had big cans of pineapple, number 10 cans, a bunch of them. And she admitted, she goes, I made a mistake where I stored these at. She had a cabinet in her laundry room.
Oh.
And all of a sudden she started seeing rust on them. She goes, okay, She cleaned off the outside. Everything looked good. She got the freeze dryer trays out, got everything prepped, opened them up. Yeah, it was good. And so it hadn't gone through the can yet. And so she freeze dried all of the pineapples she had.
Right. Yeah. Save it
that was just sitting there, not being used, not going anywhere. Oh, guess what? Now that it was freeze dried, people started eating a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I got 20 more years.
Because it's like candy.
Yes, it's candy.
Now it's candy.
It's nature's candy.
It's like caramel. It'll stick to your teeth if you bite it too quick. Yeah, I trust me. Don't ask me how I know.
How do you know, Mark?
I know how you know because I got a number 10 can of freeze dried pineapple bits from Thrive Life, I think it was, that they were carrying at Walmart. Because the grandkids saw, pineapple. So I got one. Oh man, they loved it. And it was funny. I said one piece at a time. And when they thought I wasn't looking, it'd be like 3 pieces, 4 pieces.
Yeah, now their teeth are stuck together. Yeah. Good times, yeah.
Really great when you want them to not, when you want them to not talk.
Crowns and caps are expensive. Don't do that.
Yeah. But so you where you store the stuff too in the house, even if you're not in a root cellar, which sometimes can be damp. In the house, what room it's in can cause problems, and where in that room. Like, I don't want to store food over the stove. No. Because hey, boiling water, doing pasta and stuff, even though it's got the hood with the vent blowing it out, it's still the area around there has a higher humidity than on the side. The side towards you from my canning pots, way away from it, and that wall is a lot drier than the wall where the stove and the sink is at.
The backflash.
Get one of those digital thermometer / humidity gauges and stick it in your downstairs pantry. Put it in there. Tammy, what's a good?
You guys, go ahead. Keep on with it.
What's a good low humidity, Tammy, to keep under like 50? Probably as low as you can.
Way less than 50. 50 is half water in the room.
Well,
I would say 30 to 40. 30 to 40 at least.
I mean, if you have a pantry or downstairs area you can wall off, see what the humidity is in there. Because if you got no air circulation and the rest of the house is kind of dry and it's against an outside concrete wall, you're going to get humidity through there depending on your foundation. Yeah. So stick a dehumidifier in there.
See, there are so many factors. That's why I hate the question when it comes. There you go. I hate the question when it comes up in the group because
this is the laundry room. This was the laundry room. 43%. Oh, it's going up back in here now. So it was 40% in the laundry room, 70-degree temperature, because the laundry room also has the furnace intake, so air gets circulated through there. Here, why it's going up here is because I got a heater vent over right here in the Jack and Jill bathroom with a wet towel hanging above it. So it's drying it off. So it's putting humidity in this area here. So that's why now it's up to 45 in here. Maybe it's my warm breath on it.
But I bet when you run your dryer, it's a lot higher humidity in there.
It better not be if his dryer vent's clean.
Dryer vent is clean, but I got an interior diverter for the winter time, so that electric dryer, so no gas, it's electric dryer, so putting that humidity into the house, and then the heater, the heat furnace circulates it through the house and makes it a lot easier on the sinuses.
Yeah,
I still wouldn't be storing any of my canned goods in there.
No, there's the only thing stored in there is let's see, bleach, toilet cleaner, paints, tools. Yeah.
Okay, you shouldn't be storing your paint next to your furnace.
No,
but that's a topic for another day.
No, not oil-based paint. And it's in a cabinet with closed doors. It's the latex stuff.
Okay. Just
in my area, well, it's wintertime now, obviously. Well, not obviously, but yeah, I mean, where I'm at. We have circulating hot air. I have a heat pump outside that actually goes down to 4 degrees, which is great. But this time of year for me is my favorite time of year for freeze drying, because the humidity in the house is like, I'm shooting sparks at the doorknobs. There is it's like maybe 30%. But when I do my freeze dried food and pull it out, I get a little more time, because in the summertime, I get condensation on the outside of my freeze dryer door, which means there's a lot of humidity in the house. But in the wintertime, not a drop, which is great. It just makes me allowed to store, package my freeze dried stuff up quicker, or not as quick. I can take my time with it without worrying about too much moisture getting into the food and then it going bad in the package. So, but that's just a freeze drying tip.
This is funny right here. The thing, I'm going to show it to you again, but since I put it away from me, it wasn't right where I was talking. It was my breath doing it. Sitting down, it's dropped back down. See, it dropped down to 41. Sitting down away from my moist breath.
And your hands and your body, and we know you're a stinky, sweaty old man, so
Hey, I took a shower today.
Hey, I took a shower last week. What's wrong with you?
Hey, every Saturday night, like clockwork.
I take a shower whether I need it or not.
Yeah, it was. Speaking of that, it just I'm going off rails here. Back when I was a little kid, we're talking like 5, 6, and 7 or whatever, and younger. And my younger brother's 2 years younger than me. It was like, out on we had acreage. We're out in the middle of nowhere, and so we were playing and stuff, and I didn't realize how hectic we were on my mom. Sorry, Mom. It was Saturday night baths before church on Sunday. And as we got older, boys' smells tend to change. All of a sudden, it's like, you guys are taking baths twice a week. No, you guys are taking baths every friggin' day.
Yeah, every night before you go to bed, take a bath or a shower, because I don't have to wash the sheets every other day then.
Yeah. All right.
Later,
take care. Yeah. And the thing is, wintertime in a warm house where the humidity is way down low is actually probably really good for the canning jars, because even though the house is warmed up, I've opened up cabinets, and those cabinets are cold. Especially if you have a two temperature setting on it, where at night the temperature you have it where it automatically lowers the temperature for nighttime hours, since you're bundled up in bed, and the furnace comes back on in the morning. Or if you have a wood burning stove, it kind of cools down at night, and you got to stoke it up in the morning to get it warm again. The cabinets tend to stay cooler inside the cabinets than they do out in the rest of the house. And being dry like that, it's probably better for the lids and stuff and everything on your both store-bought can and your home canned cans.
Better for anything metal. Less humidity, the better.
Yeah. That's it's one of those things. That's why did my canned food go bad? we get a dart and throw it at the dartboard with all the reasons on it and see which one it hits this time. It could be anything. If you don't do it, like you can be a rebel in canning, but you still got to follow certain rules. You can be rebels with about, all right, I'm going to can this, but still got to follow the rules to can that stuff they say you can't can.
Like, oh, I got these 2 bushels of apples on sale because they were seconds and it was the end of the season. So I took them home and I peeled them all and canned them. Well, did you check it for bruises and spots and things? Because you can't can out death.
Yeah.
You just can't make it go away, period.
If you wouldn't eat it fresh, you shouldn't be canning it.
Yeah.
You can't can away spoilage. So if
That's
you
why
can, if you can rotten food, it's going to spoil in the jar because it's already rotted.
It says it in every blue book, even the new ones, I think, but all the old ones, I want to can apples. And the first sentence is pick nice, fresh, unblemished, unbruised apples, inspect, clean, wash, inspect, peel them, and then go for it. But if you don't do that, and that's why it says it first, because that's the first thing that's going to cause your food to go bad, is just using poor quality food or bruised or bad food and just trying to think, it'll be fine. It's going to be in a pressure cooker for 3 hours or whatever. No, it won't be fine. You just killed the living bacteria. Now you're just eating dead bacteria. And
all right, talking about apples. I sent this to Tammy, so I'm pulling it back up here. Not apples. All right. So getting those things done for doing whatever.
Oh, he's using a drill on it. Yeah.
Yeah, instead of hand cranking, it's like instead of going, whoop, all right, that apple's done, and you can get your apples done a lot faster.
I prefer the cordless drill. I prefer the cordless drill with the flat 3/4 spade bit on there. Stick it in the end of it and do it over the sink or outside with the peeler and just go zip, and those peels are flying. And they don't take as much. I don't like those apple thingies because it actually takes a lot of meat.
It leaves a lot of the core. Yeah, you lose. You better have some really big apples because you're losing a lot of the.
Yeah, you lose a lot of meat on the outside, and it doesn't take the whole core. If it's cockeyed, you don't get that. I process all my apples by hand. Yeah. I mean, I cut them in half, cut them in quarters, then cut the. Yes, I'll lose a little bit of apple when I cut it at a 45-degree angle to get the core and seeds out of it.
But nowhere near like.
Then I'll slice them up or whatever and do my freeze dryer. But that's because that's what I do with them, or make applesauce.
If you happen to have animals that can eat the apples,
sure.
Then like if you have pigs or goats, chickens and stuff. Yeah, you can. Extra food for them.
You can also boil the peels and make apple juice from the peels that you can make apple syrup or apple jelly with that juice. And you can also make apple cider vinegar with those.
My biggest thing is what's on the outside. Those store-bought apples, you got that white stuff on there that you just can't get off. So, wash them off as best you can, peel them, and don't use the skins for anything.
I don't get apples from the store. The last batch of apples I got were from a tree that had not been sprayed in years. They weren't as perfect looking, but
if there's a bug hole in there, that means the bugs are going to eat it because there's nothing wrong with it.
All right, hang on a second.
Bugs ain't touching it.
Where is it here? I know. Let me search this word, Doc. APEE. There it is. Appeal. Okay, this is a reel off of Fakebook. Control C, put it down here. There you go.
This is about appeal.
How appeal is made.
Oh,
and the fact that they are putting out organic appeal, which is not organic.
Yeah, bullshit.
And so they're saying, oh, it's organic. It's made of this, that. But what did you use to process it? Oh, these toxic chemicals, these cancer-causing chemicals. But it's been taken out.
Is that the stuff to wash your fruit with?
That's the stuff they coated to preserve it.
Oh,
That's
Yeah,
Bill's
straight up.
little thing.
Those are the videos you see where they peel the organic sticker off of the whatever fruit it is, and underneath it is another sticker saying, "Oh, this fruit has a peel on it." Yeah, and it was organic. Organic means it was grown organically, but it's the transit. We already talked about this.
Yeah,
it's when they transport it. It's a third party. They do whatever they want.
Yeah, this is different, Mark. They've changed the rules now. There are stickers that say organic appeal.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what they're using. This talks about all the steps they do to make how they make a peel. Like I got another reel that several reels there where different people have taken videos, like PBS videos and that on how canola oil's made. I tell you, man, I almost threw up during watching it. Yeah. Anyways, that Dave, you want it's a short reel. It's about 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds on it. So if you want to be be informed on how a peel is actually made and chemicals in it, there you go.
And the moral of the story is know your local farmer and eat local.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you got a lot of shade trees that are just useless shade trees, replace them with fruit trees. Grow your own.
Yeah. Doesn't get any more local than that.
Yeah. Oh, let's see. What any other thing we haven't touched on about why food must be going bad? Like I said on the PowerPoint, number one threat is. Let me just go ahead and bring this back up here.
Oh, I know what we didn't discuss. If you do a lot of other things, like there was a time that I was really into sourdough and I was really into ferments. So I had sourdough and a bunch of other ferments going in my kitchen next to where I was doing on the same counter I was doing my canning. And that's when I had the spoilage. And I came to the conclusion that I was introducing added organisms into my canning because I had everything in such close proximity to each other. And so if you're doing sourdough or you're doing fermenting, don't do it get them out and have them out there on the same days you're canning. Be sure to wipe your counters really good. And if possible, keep your ferments in a separate storage area from where you are have your canning jars and everything open to canning.
Yeah. Yep. I remember. Yeah. We were going to talk about that too. So yeah, because yeast, natural yeasts are in the air. But if you're doing food and stuff with yeast, fermenting and stuff and everything else, it's really in the air everywhere.
I had 3 different sourdoughs going. I was doing one with rye flour, one with white flour, and one with whole wheat flour as an experiment to see what I really liked the best, because you have to grow it in what you're going to use. You can't just use your rye sourdough and expect it to suddenly digest wheat.
Right.
Well, and so they were 3 different cultures. I was doing them. And so I had all this stuff up going on, and I just decided, nope, I got to concentrate on more like one thing. So if you're doing that, move all those away from where you're canning.
So if I'm feeding,
on your side is News Now.
Hi.
So if I'm feeding my organic whole grain whatever flour and getting that going as a thing, and then I use it for a white all-purpose flour bread, does that mean it gets indigestion? Can I just throw a Tums in there? Just kidding.
No. It does get indigestion. Tums will not cure the indigestion for the yeast. So the answer is yes and no.
It means it won't grow as much.
Yeah, you won't get enough loft. You won't get the right loft. It's not going to break down and digest the gluten in there the same way. And so yeah, you want to you want to stick to one or the other, or grow one that's a combination of both. You have to feed it what you're going to bake with.
Yeah. So I was just thinking. So if you're feeding it, and you're feeding it a little rye, a little acorn flour, and a little, whatever.
Then you'd have a good all-purpose one
Yeah,
But
but it's not going to be really good for one particular one.
no, it's going to be better than trying to switch. You can't switch it at the last minute.
Right.
It'll
Okay.
be better than using the wrong one,
Yeah.
but it won't be as good as using one that's always been fed that same thing you've always used.
So it gives new definition to you are what you eat to your sourdough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, certain types grow really well on rye, and certain other ones are adapted really well to whole wheat. They're not the same organism.
Yeah.
They're the same type of organism. They're both yeast, but they're not the same yeast. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all. It's like saying all primates, but humans are one thing, gorillas are another, chimpanzees are another. All right, so let me pop this up here again. So the biggest threat, heat, and then cold, excessive cold can ruin cans and jars, and direct sunlight ruins any food it shines on all the time. Unless it's growing at the time out in the garden, sunlight's not good for it. Yeah. All right, so coming up this week, tomorrow on my other channel, Gray Man Prepping, the topic is earthquakes, the surprise disaster. Then Thursday night is the Midnight Ride, also on Gray Man Prepping. Friday, back here on Camp Patton Family Compound, is a little bit of prepping and survivalist and a little bit of gardening, because the topic is garden items to salvage first in Twaki, which is the end of the world as we know it, or at SHTF, government collapse. It's for decades. So what are you going to go after first? Salvage. Saturday, back on Gray Man Prepping, is sanitation issues before and during disaster events. Next Monday here is what's in your cooking library. I'm going to talk about favorite books, cooking books, and everything else, sauces, herbs, books, whatever the books are in your library for cooking. That's what we'll be talking about next week. Any other words? Okay. All right, then. Hopefully we'll see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow over on my other channel, Gray Man Prepping. And remember, you can. There's nothing stopping you but getting up and doing it. Take care.
Bye, everyone.